Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Do me a favor, consider becoming a subscriber to the channel if you like the way that any of the information is being broken down, presented, analyzed, reviewed, recap, so on and so forth. Hit the like button. Um, Man, I'm not gonna do a straightforward review of this project. You saw what the title is, so I'm assuming you know why you clicked on the video. But the Black Thought Stream of Thought Volume 3, Cain and Abel, came out yesterday. Um, I'm a little behind in a couple of albums anyway, a couple of reviews anyway. So, like I said, I'm not really trying to do a whole deep dive on this one. I mean, it's Black Thought. You should know if you like the kid or not. Um, he's either in your top five or your top three, or your you appreciate what he brings to the game, or you don't. The album is solid. I was very interested to see what the producer Sean C, how he would what kind of sounds he would provide, what kind of palettes he would create for Black Thought. Really quickly, this album right here, Hardware. Or this is not an album. It's a single. It's a 12-inch single from back in the day. I had to have bought this in like '88. No, not '88. Some '90 to '92, somewhere in there. And it says, the first joint from the debut solo album, Masterpiece Theater, from Black Thought of the Roots. I don't want to say whether this joint was good or not. I just know it wasn't memorable. It really wasn't memorable. I thought the production on it was very bland, and I don't even know if that Masterpiece Theater. I was gonna look it up to see if it's in his discography, but I'm not even sure if it ever came out. And for a number of years, I was sitting there before he started with this Stream of Thought Volume 1, 2 or 3 years ago. I was like, man, why can't this brother get with a producer? Because he was doing, he had been on Capital Punishment with Big Pun and had been here and there, features and whatnot. But I'm like, man, why can't this brother get with the right 2 or 3 producers and at least make an EP? And then somehow or another, I guess he was thinking the same thing. Wasn't he part of that billionaire boys club or something that was something? Anyway, eventually he got around to releasing projects. And I think his own brand, his own status in the game has risen exponentially over the last couple years. He played Reggie, what a great name, in the first season of The Deuce on HBO. He's been able to do quite a bit of things since they became the house band for Jimmy Fallon. I think he's been in another movie or two as well. But anyway, man, Volume 1 and Volume 2 were dope. And Volume 3 is equally as dope. And this one, for me, kind of seemed like more of a real LP versus just kind of like an EP. I thought the first one might have been a little on the shorter side. I thought the second one was a little longer. But like I said, man, Sean C, I was a big fan of him and Sean C and LV. They were on a Ghostface album years ago. They've had, as a team, they've had some songs here and there along the way. And I always wanted to hear more of them because they had a very unique sound, I thought, and a very unique approach to hip hop. And I think that's what you get here is this album is really unique. It's really so Black Thought. I've said this before, man. When you get to be a rapper above 40 or 40 years old, and you're not. Let's be honest. The entire East Coast right now is all dope and coke rap for the most part. That's it. And then you got some guys that are closely affiliated. In Action Bronson, might not be talking about selling dope, but it's hustling and street stuff. And then he's closely tied to a Mayhem Loren, and then you know Rock Marciano's out. It's 2 dozen dudes that I can think of right now who are just really with street rap, coke, dope, violence, so on and so forth. Uh, so here he is. Here's Black Thought putting out this album in waters that are infested with, these the Bennies and the Conways, so on and so forth. And then you have like a Thought, you have a Royce the 5'9", you have all these older cats over here who aren't, they aren't on the radio, they aren't mainstream dudes, and it's hard to compete with those dudes because there's no checks and balances in what those guys are rapping about. So anyway, that's a completely different discussion that I was having with myself earlier. Look, man, this album is 13 songs. I want to say Experience might be the track number 5, might be the only. I've listened to it like 2 or 3 times now. Experience might be like the a skit or an interlude. I'm not gonna go track for track. You've already heard "Good Morning" with Pusha T and Killer Mike. Killer Mike's verse has actually grown on me quite a bit. And then you knew Thought verse Everybody was just straightforward, lyrical assault, lyrical prowess. I'm bad. I'm untouchable in this game. So that leaves us like what, 10 songs. The opener, I'm Not Crazy. Actually, I'm Not Crazy. Track 1. I guess this is kind of a shorter album. I lied. Track 1 and 13 are I'm Not Crazy, and those are more an intro and an outro track with like some down south that chopped and screwed type rhyming with the slowed down or the pitches changed or whatever. But it kind of sets the tone that this is kind of a rebel album, or rebellious rebel music album. I don't know if the word is Pan-Africanism or Black Power, Black Excellence, the struggle, freedom music. It's a lot of statements being made, but really without being preachy, in my opinion. But this is I'm Not Crazy is kind of dealing with Columbus, discovering America, and kind of how that touched off everything, and how we all got to where we are. And then he deals with these other topics in here. So track 2, in my opinion, track 2, State Prisoner, is might be the highlight of the album, in my opinion. It's riveting. There's some chanting going on. There's some crazy drums, some beat change ups. It almost has like that God flow sample or whatever is a part of this, maybe. But State Prisoner is just phenomenal, man. He says something about audio, airborne, spore, something allergen. I'm a combination of Zulu, or part Zulu and part Farrakhan. State Prisoner is a phenomenal track, in my opinion. Good Morning, and it's a lot of common threads between all of the songs that make it sound like a cohesive album. The drums that are used on here, it's a lot of guitar use on here, which is always a fan of mine. I don't know if Sean C plays guitar or he works with the guitarist. I don't know who this Portugal dude is on here, if that's just a vocalist or he actually plays, so on and so forth. Track 4, Magnificent. It's kind of freestyle lyrics, just, Thought and his rhyme schemes and his ideas, his choice of words. It's almost like he takes these $10 words here and there and sprinkles them into each song, and just does some high level rhyming off of these bigger words. these collegial words and whatnot. But Magnificent is a pretty dope song. Quiet Trip actually sees we actually get to see Thought here kind of experiment with a southern flow, and I think he nails it. He does that's he does a great job on that one. Track 7 is Nature of the Beast. That's a pretty solid song. We Could Be is a dope relationship song. The second verse on there is just, it seems simple, and he just like casually talks through this situation, but I swear, man, it's almost like moments that I've had in my 20-year relationship with my wife. You know, I just think it's a well written song. It's well handled relationships, and this is different because in contrast to the Bennies and the Conways and West Side Gun, I can be effing these bees, effing these hoes, getting top, getting and doing all this disrespectful stuff, man. But again, when you're above 40, you got your Nas's, your Jay-Z, who's married, a very public marriage. You just can't talk about running through these women and running through bras. You can't really talk about however these other dudes can do it. I don't know if some of those cats are married. I heard DMX have some interesting lyrics and then turn around and say, I got a wife. So, but anyway, another dude who's kind of in this lane is Fonte. He makes some he always includes some songs talking about relationships in a very mature, a very thoughtful, very responsible way, man. So like this second verse on We Could Be Good, because I've had some arguments with. Actually, we've had one argument in this during this pandemic, with it just being her and I in the house for 7 months. One argument, and it was like a 2-minute argument. So this is a dope song, man. Just check it out. What he's talking about. You have to. One of the key things in relationships is you have to kind of kill yourself. Your individual self has to die a little bit every day for the relationship of the two to really thrive and flourish and whatever. Anyway, let's move on. Stake 'em featuring Schoolboy Q. Real nice bass line. A real heavy drum track. Just the thickness. The heaviness of a lot of the songs on here is just, it's really just such a unique listening experience, man. It's not the same vibe as the Alchemist. You're hearing a lot of Alchemist right now, a lot of Derringer, and I told you it's another dozen. This Me Fucks dude, Conductor Williams. It's all these different producers out there whose name is Von Vidon, I think. This it's just really this is a good pull away or step away to something, a different sound and a different energy to tap into. So I really like this beat on Stake 'em. Schoolboy Q does what he does. Pretty decent verse from him. Track 10 is Thought Verse Everybody. You've heard that. I think that was the leadoff song, the leadoff single several months ago. Track 11 is Ghetto Boys and Girls. More guitar in use on that one. Just talking about, growing up, coming out of impoverished situations and making it and surviving. Fuel is track 11. It's kind of some organs on there, some guitar on there, just a hodgepodge of different sounds. It's crazy. I don't, if any of this was sampled or however it was built, I would love to talk with Sean C. And just, I saw some different clips on Instagram of how they put this together, and kind of just watching them in the studio work a little bit, but they don't really say a whole lot. It's more just celebratory moments of when a track was finished or hearing a track or putting together some ideas. But Fuel is a pretty solid song. One thing that I will say, Fuel being the last actual straightforward song isn't really the finale that I was looking for. I don't think it really finishes on the highest of note for me as a fan and a listener. But he comes back and closes it out with the outro of "I'm Not Crazy," and I mean, I guess it seals the song in a good way. I guess for me, if you think back to what was that, Distant Relatives, they had that Africa joint at the end of the song, at the end of the album. I think that was the last song on there, was Sons of Abraham or something. Africa must wake up. Sons sleeping sons of Jake. Something. That was a hell of a finale. I would have liked to have heard something. State Prisoner maybe should have been the last song on here. Maybe, to be honest, like State Prisoner is a profoundly dope record. So anyway, man, that's it, man. I shouldn't even talk this long on it. So I didn't want to try to give you any lyrics. It's great lyrics and great sequences, great verses, great bars on every song on here. Like I said, the Southern Flow experiment was pretty decent. It was another song on here, maybe it's Nature of the Beast, where it's more sing-songy, kind of, it's not his tight technical rhyming. It's a little looser thing that incorporates some singing in there and whatnot. So check that one out. Like I said, man, it's Black Thought. It's such a different listening experience from most everything that's out there on the market. He's a veteran. As a guy, like I said, been doing this for 2 or 3 decades now, coming from this. So enjoy it, man. I love to hear what you think about the project. I could imagine that it's not for everybody. And I'll get this and get out of here, but when I compare it to something even like a To Pimp a Butterfly, or Damn or something, it doesn't really have those straightforward like bangers, or I can see some people not being, I can see it not elevating him into that mainstream hip hop fan discussion. This is just kind of one of those projects, man, where you sit around to it. I think as individuals, you either vibe with it or you don't. You might not find 3 or 5 partners who like it as much as you do or respect it as much as you do, but it's here, and I think it's really unique. And like I said, man, I think Sean C knocked it out the park. I think I believe LV was involved with it, but it's, for some reason, it's more of Sean C being the the exclusive producer on here. So check it out, man. I think it's a dope piece of art. I don't really have a score for it. I'm gonna get into it some more over the weekend and in the futures. And it also, it's interesting. It sets the stage. We got Busta Rhymes coming back at the end of the month with Extinction Level Event number 2. And, it'll be interesting to see what a old school, not an old, I hate that, a vet, another seasoned vet, what we saw with Nas, what are these older guys? What's the sound that you incorporate or you build off of? How do you come out here and stand out and be impactful, and what is your voice as a mid-40s black man? Like I said, this type of music is way more checks and balances. Just by what you have in your life as an individual, you can't, Conway, I keep bringing these same dudes up. All these dudes that I'm listening to, there's no accountability. There's no risk of not being what they say they are. They can say anything. They can retell what they were doing in the streets any way that they want to make it sound like they were, how much territory, how much money, how much weight. And there's no questioning of any of that. But, this guy, he has to work with what he has to work with, and I think he nailed it. My name is Will. Let me get on out of here, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Pay me no mind. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.